Today I'm going to show you guys how to make your own custom patches and how to sew them onto your clothes. Okay, so to jump right in, you're going to need some fabric. You can use bulk fabric that you buy at a fabric store, or you can use just some scrap fabric from an old t-shirt or something like that. This is literally just a button-up t-shirt that I thrifted. This right here is like a quilted baby blanket. Really, the possibilities are endless. As long as it is fabric, you can really use it for this project. This right here is literally a placemat. I would really recommend maybe going to thrift your fabric, because I've found you can not only find cheaper fabric, but also a lot more unique fabrics. And from the fabric I showed you guys, these are the little pieces that I cut out, and these are the pieces of fabric that I'm going to be using to paint my little designs on for the custom patches that I'm making in this video. Alright, so to paint your designs on, you are going to need some just plain acrylic paint. I think I got that from Target for like $1. And you're also going to need some textile medium. Really, it's super easy to use. The instructions just say that you need 2 parts acrylic paint and 1 part of your textile medium. I usually just eyeball it. It's pretty forgiving if you don't have exact measurements, I've found. It takes a second to mix up, but you'll know when you're finished because the paint will turn a lot darker and it'll be a lot more opaque. Also, it'll look a lot lighter than it's actually going to dry. It'll dry a lot darker than it looks. Right here it looks almost a little gray, but you'll see in my finished designs that is definitely a black color. And really all this textile medium does is it kind of preserves your design for a lot longer. It makes it machine washable and dryable, and it also makes the acrylic paint just more pliable. It's less likely to crack, and it's a lot easier for stretching and just long-term use. Alright, so here I am painting on my design. And I'm just kind of freehanding these. I draw these little designs a lot, and so I kind of know what I want to paint and how I want everything to look, and so I didn't really trace any of these designs out. But I do want to say I have traced designs in the past, and the paint we mixed is really forgiving, especially if you're doing a darker color. You can definitely draw your design with pen and then paint over it and not have it bleed through or show after it dries. If you're using white, I would definitely maybe recommend either doing multiple layers of the paint or just sketching your design in pencil or something like that so it doesn't bleed through as much, but I've definitely had no issues with tracing in the past. Also, I do want to say too, you don't have to be good at drawing to be able to paint stuff onto these shirts. More intricate designs I've had to trace in the past. I found it super easy if you get just more of a transparent type of fabric, either a white fabric or just like a thinner fabric, and hold it over a light source. You can use your phone or even hold it up to your computer monitor and really just trace your design on the fabric with pencil or pen or something like that, and then paint it afterwards. And so you could really make this as detailed and intricate as you want, or just as easy and simplistic. It's really up to you, it's your project. I also do want to say too, if you don't want to paint at all, another really great thing to do is take designs from t-shirts that either you don't wear anymore or a design from a thrift store. Especially if you don't like the fit of the shirt, you can just cut out the little designs on t-shirts and then simply sew those onto a new shirt. Something I would really recommend doing too is painting on these little patches of fabric rather than painting just on the shirt itself. I have definitely painted directly onto t-shirts before and have no problem, but personally I think it takes the pressure off of drawing your design perfectly onto the shirt. If I mess up on one of these little patches, I can easily just cut out another patch from my fabric and redraw it, or just try a new design. But if I was like painting directly on the shirt, it's kind of stressful sometimes because if you mess up, there's really not a way you can fix it. This fabric paint is definitely forgiving, but after it dries, you're pretty much set with what you have. And here are all of the designs I've made. Okay, now I'm going to be pinning my designs onto the fronts of all of my shirts and jackets. I think this is a really important step because you don't want your patches to move while you're sewing them. And also this just gives you a chance to kind of hold them up in the mirror, make sure that they're on straight, and also make sure that you kind of like the positioning of things. Because definitely sometimes I'll put something too high or too far to the left, and really just like pinning them down and taking a step back really helps with me getting it in the perfect spot. And now I'm just sewing on all of my patches. I'm just doing a straight stitch here, and I've also found that when you are turning the corners on all of these, it's a lot easier if you leave the needle in the fabric and then lift up the presser foot. I've just found that that really gives you a really clean corner on all of your designs. Also, something that's really important to think about are the different type of fabrics you're mixing. Some of the patches you have might be way different than the article of clothing that you're putting it on. And so sometimes you'll have to adjust the tension on the bottom thread or the top thread as you go. And you'll kind of figure it out. Sometimes your machine will just, it'll let you know for sure. You don't necessarily need to have a sewing machine to sew these on. You can definitely hand sew each patch onto your article of clothing. I've definitely done it in the past, and before I had a sewing machine, I used to hand sew all of my things like this, and it is a little more time consuming, but it's definitely doable if you don't have access to a sewing machine at your house. My last piece of advice here is I would stick with either square or rectangle shaped patches, because I have tried circles many times. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but for me it is so hard to get the fabric to stay in place as I sew, and it's just really hard for me to like line it up correctly. And so if you're really more of a beginner with sewing, I would definitely recommend sticking with easier shaped patches. Here are all the finished products. I'm really happy with how everything turned out, and I hope you guys enjoy. Shameless plug, these are also all available on my Depop at Forever Blue. If you decide that you don't want to make one yourself, I definitely have a lot available. I usually restock these every other week, and so there's definitely enough to go around if you'd like one. All right, and that's the end of the video. Thank you to anyone that watched this. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys with the next video.